You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. We are 6 days away from the NFL Draft, and I am back with another prospect spotlight. Today with me, I have Adams State defensive end, EJ Labaze. EJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad myself. For those of you who haven't heard about EJ, I definitely recommend checking out his huddle. If you guys are watching on YouTube, which I definitely recommend, watch on YouTube. In the description, we have a link to his huddle website, and you guys could check out his highlights there. So definitely recommend. You guys will not be disappointed. But we'll just jump right into the questions. First, right before we went live, I was asking you about where you're from, and so you said you're from Virginia originally, but you went to college in Adams State, and that's in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty funny. I actually just moved to Colorado not too long ago, last July. So first, I want to know your thoughts about Colorado. How is it, living out there for you?
Yeah, it was it's different to say the least. It's definitely a different experience than what I'm used to, not only culturally but weather-wise. Because I was in the mountains. Alamosa's in the mountains and it's 7,000 feet above sea level, as opposed to Virginia, that's a couple 100 feet, and completely different people. Alamosa is older demographics. There's definitely an older group there, a little more well tight-knit group, as opposed to Virginia. You can run into somebody that you may never see the rest of your life any day, so it's definitely different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how do you feel like, playing football in, mile high, elevation and all that has kind of helped with your conditioning a little bit?
Yeah, I would say when I first got there, because I lived on the third floor, and talking and singing rap lyrics was a no-go. I couldn't multitask in any regards. But now I feel like a fish, because I feel like I could breathe forever. I feel I have just crazy lungs, especially when I leave Colorado because of just the day-to-day tasks there. You exert so much more energy that you don't even really notice. So going there, coming back home and training and stuff of that nature has just been definitely helpful, and it's definitely a perk.
Yeah, for sure. See, I thought it was just me being out of breath over here. I feel a little better knowing that you, an athlete, also were struggling a little bit.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah, definitely. It hits you hard. But as I understand, I was doing a little digging, finding out a little bit about you before this interview, getting some questions ready. And I saw that you actually spent a year at Chabot College in Hayward.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's crazy because I'm from the Bay Area, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, Niner fans, most of them are going to be from the Bay Area as well. And so I feel like my worlds are colliding a little bit here. Tell me about how'd you end up at Chabot for that 1 year, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so there's definitely love, to the Bay Area. It kind of became a second home for me for a couple years, just because of the atmosphere and the culture there. It was just so crazy. This is you dream about going to California from the East Coast, but not a lot of people get to have that opportunity. So when you go for the first time and you meet all these people and, great energies and great people, it's an amazing experience. So I went there right after high school because of my process due to my grades. In high school, it deteriorated my process to get recruited. So I had to go junior college, and I literally emailed 3 coaches. It was Chabot, Butte, and Laney, and Chabot was the one that I got most, interested in, and the one that I felt most at home with. We're talking with Coach Fanene, And I went there, didn't take a visit. I went there off of my beliefs with God, and I it's a happy decision ever since. I was there for about a year and a half actually, so I spent my
Okay.
first 2 years there at Chabot.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
But you spent most of your time at Adams State, right? So,
correct.
tell me a little bit about Adams State. Like, is there a moment, playing there that you're most proud of?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it just came recently. This year was like it was the year for me in terms of on the field, off the field, everything. This was the year for not only me but just the team. It was a big year for the team, new coaching staff, a lot of new players post COVID. So we were going through so many things, and for me to be a team captain on that team and help the team grow, was big. One of the moments in the game for me was Black Hills where we were in a double overtime with Black Hills, and me being able to help close out the fourth quarter with a quarter ending sack. Me and my teammate Rob Luckett, and then just being able to contribute in the pass game as effectively as I did that game. Getting the QB, out there and creating some pressures where he had to feel uncomfortable. That was one of my biggest games and my, biggest accomplishments last year. Even though we lost, it was one of those things where it kind of put us on the map because we were expected to get beat by that team, and it was just a nitty gritty game.
Yeah, I mean, even in losses, there's always something that you learn or something you gain out of it. So, definitely good to hear that your final year you really came into your own. But you mentioned you were a team captain, and I saw that as well in your huddle because I saw you going out for one of the coin tosses. So, I assume your teammates would speak very very highly of you and your coaches as well. Um, what's something that how would they describe you, your teammates, your coaches? um not just as a football player but as a person?
Yeah, so there's three words that I would use 10 times out of 10, and it goes for on the field, off the field, and just who I am, which is hard work, a hardworking person, a disciplined person, and an accountable person. And
Okay,
one of the
love
biggest
that.
things my former coach, Coach Harrison, harped on was a lot of the things on the field that happen on the field can happen before you even touch the field, which is basically the stuff that you can control without the play, which is being accountable, being on time, knowing your assignments, being disciplined, staying in your gaps, knowing where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be it, and just being hardworking every day. You keep hitting the nail, you keep picking up that sledgehammer, and you keep hitting. Every day doesn't matter what the circumstances is. It doesn't matter who you're going against. It doesn't matter what you're going to do the other day. Be a hardworking individual, and you'll more than likely be successful in your endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely, I definitely agree with that as well. um so you spoke a little bit about accountability, how things throughout the week would probably help you on game day. So how do you prepare for games throughout the week? Like, would you call yourself a bit of a film junkie? Do you do some yoga, try to center your mind a little bit? Like, how are you preparing throughout the week?
Yeah, so I'm a mixture of all of the above. I would say plus is one I don't think people think of too much, which is like affirmations. I speak
Mm,
highly of the game before I even get into the game. It
love
doesn't
that.
matter if we're 0-9. It doesn't matter if we're 9-0. We're gonna win. We're going to win. That's
Yep.
what's going to happen. We're going to dominate our opponents. We're going to know our opponents. So, in knowing our opponents, in the process of knowing your opponent, that's where the film comes into play. In the process of dominating your opponent, that's when the weight room comes into play. That's when the extra effort comes into play during the week, starting on Sunday. Because a lot of the times, well, every week, games are on Saturday. The next day, Sunday, we're doing our team stretches, we're doing our workouts, and that's when we have to get ready for the opponent we're facing the following Sunday or Saturday. So, I would say I'm a little bit of all kinds of different preparation backgrounds for sure.
I love that. I mean, you definitely got to speak it into existence sometimes. I
Yeah.
truly believe in that. It does work some wonders. Do you have any like pregame rituals or any like superstitions that you really got to abide by before a game?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's certain garments that I won't wash throughout the season. Um, and I'm not gonna say what they are, but I'm not saying they're my underwear. It's not my underwear for sure. But there's certain garments that I won't wash, whether that's socks, gloves, whatever the case is, because once I did good with this, I don't want to do bad with it, or I can only do good with it. So I'm gonna keep the good juju going around. I definitely pray a lot. I pray a lot. During or before the game, just for my safety, for what I want to do and what I want to accomplish, and for my opponent's safety and what they want to accomplish. Even though I can't let that happen.
Absolutely. No, those are pretty good. The not washing thing, that's an interesting one. I don't think I've heard that one before, but that one's definitely interesting. Good to know it wasn't your underwear.
Yeah. We proper clean hygiene around here. We practice that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But speaking a little more about your game, like some things that I saw, watching some of your clips, and I even mentioned this to you. I like the way you work off your blocks. You're hustling, like you chase after plays, even when it seems like you're pretty far away from the play. You'll still chase it down, so you never give up on a play. But and obviously you're good at getting after the quarterback as well, right? Do you have a favorite move that that you can win with, almost every time?
Yeah. So one of my favorite moves, and I don't want to say one of my biggest problems, but one of my favorite moves with an offensive lineman was the push pull. Just because you think I'm a quicker guy, I'm going to try to beat you with the speed, and I want to hit you with power, immediately. And I want to assert my dominance. I don't want to show you that I'm running away from you. I'm not running away from you. I'm running towards you. I'm running to you. Because in the trenches, it's all about grit. It's all about who's going to come, more times than not. So the push pull was definitely one of my favorite plays this year. In recent history, I like a long arm to a swim or a swipe or whatever the case is, just because I can set the offensive lineman's hands, especially a more patient offensive lineman. I can set his body and stuff like that. Just depends on who I'm going against. Yeah, it really just depends on who I'm going against.
Yeah, well, I definitely saw you like pushing people, like pushing through people, more times than one. So I would say that's definitely your strength, and you look good doing it. So, is there an NFL player that you try to emulate on the field?
Yeah, so I never was one that's like, let me go. Sometimes I've watched some Aaron Donald highlights. I've watched some Elvis Dumerville highlights. I've seen a couple of Nick Bosa's highlights, and I think what I started to realize is that all the great defensive linemen, edge rushers, or whatever you want to call them, have the same things, which is the hustle, the tenacity, the violentness, and that's really what I try to emanate off of anyone's game and bring it to my own. The person that I would closely view myself as is more of like a James Harrison type. Didn't have all the measurables that was needed, but he got it done. And he got it done through pure hard work and determination, and you see where that led him to.
Right. And like we spoke, it all starts with like having the belief, and then you go from there. We got a few questions really quickly from people watching. But just really quickly, for those of you watching, make sure to subscribe, make sure you like this video, make sure you share it, because EJ definitely deserves to have more people watching him, more people knowing who he is. So make sure you share this video. CG Ruthless Sports, he's asked, what's something you want to improve on going into the NFL?
Yeah, so the biggest thing was just explosiveness. You like when you see people like Micah Parsons do what he just did, and he's never really had a full season as an edge rusher. It was literally off of athletic ability, but explosive. Like he was just explosive. So that's something that we've been working on heavy during this training season. It's just working on, the first steps, working on the redirection, but exploding through the redirections and stuff of that nature for sure.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Shajay asks, do you have a favorite victory meal? That's a good one.
Look, I'm a mac and cheese connoisseur. I'll eat anything mac
Okay.
and cheese. I love baked mac and cheese. So my victory meals are baked mac and cheese, some sort of fish because I'm pescatarian, and you got to top it off with like your vegetables. So whether that's cabbage, broccoli, whatever the case is, that's a complete victory meal for me.
Okay, yeah, I like how you mix in some greens in there
Yeah,
too. Those are important.
got to.
All right, we got one more. Favorite team growing up?
Ah, yeah. I've when I was growing up, as I was growing up, I was a Jets fan, and that's because, like I said, I was born in Brooklyn. My whole family, or a lot of my family, like the Giants, and so me just being rebellious, going against the grain. I grew up a Jets fan, and have been watching them for a pretty long time.
Okay, okay, yeah. And I know they were at your pro day, correct?
Cool. Yep. Correct. Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your pro day. What was that like? Do you feel like you performed the way you wanted to, tested the way you wanted to?
Yeah. So it was up and down. I had some. Um, I won't say injuries. I had some boo boos that hindered my performance in some regard, but I think that I illustrated certain things at certain times. I haven't got my full numbers back, but when I talked to the Broncos scout, he told me my 10-yard get off and my 10-yard splits, and it was like a 4.75, which is okay at my size and height. And so there were certain things I've done that I liked, and I feel like I showed that I was a competitor. That even though you could see that there was something probably wrong with me, that I competed and I pushed through those things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Is there something else that you're trying to uh do this off season? Maybe like build muscle, hand coordination. You spoke about the explosiveness. Are there some other things that you're trying to improve on in terms of like testing or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. So it's just, I mean, we've been, chiseling at it ever since I got back. It's really just the explosiveness and the strength. Those have been the biggest two focus points this off season because, once you're strong enough to hang in the trenches, are you quick enough to get past those people that are also strong enough to take in the churches? So those have been the two focus points. Has been quickness, whether vertical or lateral, and then strength, just pure power. We were focused on cutting pure fat and just getting pure muscle. So just doing that process and correcting those eating habits and stuff of that nature for sure.
Okay. And you mentioned that you hadn't gotten all your numbers back yet. But I saw in your huddle it said you're 40. You had it set at 4.7. Is that like what you're running at for a 40 right now?
That's what my training was 4.7, 4.8. Yeah, that was during my training process.
Phew. I mean, that's pretty good, I'd say, for someone your size.
Yeah, that's
Um,
for sure.
definitely good feat. Um, so you had a few teams present at your pro day. We mentioned the Jets. Were there any other teams that showed up or have shown interest in you thus far?
Yeah, so there was the Jets, the Broncos, the Jaguars, the Saints. I think there was one or two more teams there. I have at my All-Star game in January, the CGS All-Star game, I talked to some of the smaller scouts with the Raiders and 49ers. We talked a little bit with them, and then the Colts. The Colts have been sending me stuff as a recent as well.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. That's that's really exciting to hear, especially Niners for selfish reasons, like I'm pretty excited that the Niners have contacted you. Do you have any like impressions on the team or of the team, sorry. Uh, I'm sure you know or you might know Chris Kosterich. He's the defensive line coach. He could pretty much like turn any guy into a very productive defensive
Yeah.
lineman and and so like what are your impressions on the 49ers as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I love what the 49ers represent. I think the 49ers bring in a whole bunch of people with different backgrounds. As you could just see, the former defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh,
Yeah.
they're bringing people with different backgrounds, different traits. It's not really normal, typical NFL football, right? And they're getting the maximum production out of it. And you're seeing how what they did has changed the NFL. Essentially, you see, with the way people are, they use Debo Samuels. You've seen a lot more of that position being used in similar regards. You've seen the tight end position get glorified in similar ways. You've seen teams try to bring back the heavy run game, just because the 49ers stick to the basics: heavy run, great defense. So I think what the 49ers do, it's, I don't want to say it's old school, but I want to say it gets the job done. It's not, they're not going to do too much. You know what they're going to do, but they're going to do it at a very high rate.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of blue chip going on over there.
Yeah.
All right. I got, I think, one or two more questions. But before I get into that one, we have one more here. Who would you want to sack in the NFL? Would you trash talk him or no?
Tom Brady.
Man, you got one more year to do it, man. Maybe one more year. Who knows with that guy?
Yeah, Tom Brady is like, I mean, it's like we're in a phase of football. I feel like, all of the I like to call them OGs, the older people, they're leaving, and we're getting a lot of fresh new cats in the league. So to be able to sack somebody that's guaranteed Hall of Famer, that's just
that's legendary.
That's monumental. Yeah, that's legendary.
Yeah, you definitely would have to savor that one. Okay, so Adams State is a D2 school, correct?
Yeah.
What would you say to a team that maybe, doubted you for any reason because of the school that you went to, because of, the level of perceived talent that's at D2?
Correct. Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, I mean, go look what I did when I went to the All-Star game versus different people of different talent. And that speaks for itself as well. And on top of that, the specific division or conference I won, RMAC, has people that go to the NFL for offensive and defensive line. We have mammoths on both sides. Ryan Jenkins or Jensen from the Buccaneers, I went and did my pro day at his old school in college. So that's what I would say about talent wise. And then lastly, I would say that competitors compete wherever. Doesn't matter what talent it is. You get me, you come, grab a person like me, you're gonna get somebody that got trained like the league is training D linemen. You got to maximize plays. We rotated 10 D linemen at a time in any given game at any given time. And so you have to maximize your reps. How efficient can you be on less reps? And when you look at the film, I was efficient on less reps, rather as opposed to these big school guys, you get 80, 90 reps a game and they're posing same or similar film.
Right. That's a great answer, actually, because that surprisingly is a question that stumps some people, and so I thought that was a great answer.
Thank you.
One more question for you. If a team wanted to, have you on their team, but they're like, we're just gonna have you as a special teamer for now, what would be your attitude towards that?
Let's go win.
Yeah.
I played special teams at Chabot. I was one of the special teams leaders at Chabot. I'm versatile.
Okay. Let's
I can do
go.
that. So, and on my film in Adams State, I also was one of the key blocks that led to like a 98-yard punt return touchdown. So let's go do that. If that's what that needs to happen.
Man. Yeah, you brought out the receipts. You're like, here you go, here you go, here you go.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on today, EJ. This has been wonderful. If anyone has a comment that they want to get in really quickly before we head out of here, please drop it in the comments now on YouTube. But EJ, thank you so much. Are there any last words that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, first I want to say thank you for having me. It's been great. This is a great. The Bay has a special place in my heart, just because of the stuff I went through out there. So it will forever be embedded in my journey. And then lastly, to anyone that's watching, follow me, follow my journey. I'm on social media, Coco Smooth. I'm a great time regardless. And then whatever team gets me, just know I'm working and I'm ready to work. I'm a competitor because of my journey. I'm last to go all 4 quarters and some. You get some of these bigger school kids, they're not used to all that. So let's go. They're ready to work.
Very true. I love your attitude, man. I love it. And again, for selfish reasons, I hope the 49ers take a chance on you. But if not, definitely am going to be wishing you the best.
Thank you so
And,
much.
I'll be following your career. We follow each other on Twitter. So I'm going to pay close attention to, what happens in your future. But for those of you watching, make sure you check out his huddle link. It's in the description. You can watch, some of his highlights. You have some game tape on there too, and like practice tape, right, EJ?
Yeah, it's not even practice tape. That's from the All-Star game. That's from my senior bowl.
Okay, perfect. Even better. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe this video as well. Share it. Let's get EJ's name out there to the masses, and make sure you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.